All right. Excited to be here with my new friend, Russ Robson. So Russ is the founder of Gussapolooza Music Festival and the Indie Distributor Project. He's turned personal adversity into a platform for emerging artists, and he actively helps support farmers, small businesses, and individuals facing addiction and trauma. And today we're going to be talking about his music festival, Gussapolooza, and really ultimately how can you build an indie music scene? And I'm excited to connect more because I really think that when you look at the trajectory of pretty much any successful artist, generally it's not like they're alone and they just build this audience all on their own. Generally, it's about the community, and it is about a music scene and other artists that they're kind of doing this together. So I'm looking forward to connecting with him and hearing about what he's doing with Gussapolooza. So Russ, thank you for taking time to be here today.
Hey, thank you so much, Michael, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be here and to talk about all these amazing things going on in our emerging artist world. And so, yeah, let's dive into it.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. So, maybe to kick things off, for anyone here that this is their first time meeting you or connecting with you, could you share a little bit more about your story and how you started Gussapolooza?
Absolutely. I'm an artist myself, a recording artist, and I was on the road for many years. I did the every little hole in the wall type of event you could do, and was very, very lucky to have just toured around North America, traveling and playing and meeting all kinds of musicians along the way. And I was living down in Los Angeles for a few years and really got involved with some people running some music festivals down there, and just met a lot of communities and met a lot of other aspiring artists in California. And I was always just taken back by how many artists leave their hometowns looking for opportunities. And I had found myself over the years in search of opportunities as well. And just so many people from across Canada and North America, the US, who just, leave from their small towns and they wind up in these big cities looking for something more and adventure. So that's really kind of the basis of where I started seeing, what can I do to create opportunity as well. And when I got back home to Toronto area in around 2017, I just realized that there was a lot of artists who were not here anymore as well, and who had left on the road to searching for adventure and for opportunity. So basically, we decided to throw a little backyard party for a bunch of touring bands in the end of summer of 2017. And it was humble. We put a pickup truck next to some shelving equipment and got some sound equipment, and we put an open call out on Facebook. And so many indie bands answered the call. They wanted to come out and play that we had to turn it from 1 day into a 3-day event. And we had a little inside joke on the road. If we didn't know your name, we'd call you Gus. So, if you didn't know the sound guy or you're looking for a tech, you're like, oh, where did Gus go? So so many people showed up to the backyard event that we just called everybody Gus, and there is Gussapolooza. That's where it got its name. So after the first event, we basically had so many bands call me and say, hey, I had such a blast. I had so much fun. And there's nothing like this for emerging artists. There's not a lot of stages that are open to original content and promoting small names. So I felt so much happiness putting it on that I just got called to keep doing it. And it just kind of grew from there to today, where, we started off with about 5 acres of land. And today we got 48 acres. We bring in 3 stages. We did 75 bands throughout 3 days in 2022. And this year we got over 1,000 submissions from across the US and Canada from bands looking to travel a great distance to come play the event. It's been an absolute blessing to do the festival, to put it on, to create opportunities. And that's really the essence of the festival is how do we create more opportunities for artists, and how do we create a stage, a magical stage that is going to launch careers. Not only that, but connect artists across all kinds of different fields, filmmaking, visual artists, musicians, and industry folks as well, because we all need each other to build that scene to get behind the artists to launch them forward. So every year it's an amazing undertaking. It's a lot of work, and it's just open canvas that seems to keep on growing and growing. And we just love doing it. So
that's awesome, man. You've certainly come a long way since that first event in the backyard. 75 bands.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's 75 bands was we don't do 75 anymore. That was just kind of after the pandemic to kind of bring in as many people. It was a little bit too much, but it's a lot of fun. We're excited to see where it goes. And one of the big things too that we're doing is trying to connect everybody in the North American emerging independent scene and really connect these pipelines. So we get bands that want to play from all over. So, it's just a great meeting ground for bands to come out and network with each other and meet different folks in the industry. And then those pathways are connected for folks. And we had bands from Austin, Texas apply, come on up and grow your audience in the Toronto area. And same for the Toronto bands. You got a friend down in Austin next time you want to go down there and play. So it's that really interesting meeting place.
So one thing that I read in your intro was around how part of the purpose and part of the passion that you've created comes from the power of music and community to help individuals who are facing trauma or are working through personal issues like addiction. And so I'm curious where that part comes from and what you see the relationship being between this community type of event and the power of community for being able to help people heal from those kinds of issues.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge thing for me. Being an artist is not easy. I think that just, everybody has a purpose, and artists have a purpose to create. And a lot of artists have trauma to begin with. I find that there's underlining things a lot of artists deal with, and a lot of artists usually wind up trying to numb in some sort of way. So I've had a lot of friends and bandmates over the years, and including myself. It's not easy to get in front of a lot of people on stage. It's not easy to go and do these extraordinary things that artists do and open themselves up. And drugs and alcohol really are a crutch, in a lot of ways to a lot of artists. And it's such a sad thing. So throughout my career and throughout my life, I've dealt with a lot of that, and I've seen a lot of that. One of my goals is to, just to let a lot of artists know that there's just a better way forward. There's a way to do business and heal and to be successful and happy in sobriety, and to find that equilibrium where you're not killing yourself for the enjoyment of others, to give art and not give your life. At the festival, we always put time and effort into healthy living and healthy lifestyles and alternate medicines to make musicians aware of. We live in an amazing time right now, a real spiritual time. And I find that there's a lot of people who are getting more grounded in our reality. And it's a beautiful time to be alive. And so that's one of the big things, is just creating that community around people who need a helping hand. And we're there for that.
That's awesome, man. It definitely seems like there's something about community in general that has a very healing effect, and that like when we have issues or problems or trauma, that being able to integrate and being able to share and process, like it's not something that we have to do alone. And music in particular is, a vehicle through which we can express and sort of and be able to come together and heal through some of that. I'm curious, you touched on a few things there that I would love to pull the thread a little bit. You mentioned how right now you think we're at an interesting time of history where people are maybe starting to wake up or become more grounded and get more in touch with reality. You also mentioned medicines and alternative types of medicines. So could you share a little bit more about those things that you brought up and what you meant by that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So in my journeys, I've just been lucky enough to discover some amazing people and amazing communities and amazing medicines. So I struggled with drugs and alcohol for a long time, part of my life. And for where I grew up, it was normal. A lot of my friends and a lot of people I knew use drugs and alcohol recreationally, and it becomes a little bit more and more and more until you don't realize you have a problem. And I had somebody tell me, hey, you got to slow down. And then I had other people pass away on me. And it was an eye opener for me to go, hey, you know, life is there's so much more to life. I think, unfortunately, some of us have this strange concept of, oh, we got to be a rock star. So we got to, you know, live hard, live fast, die young. And it's so silly. So when I met some of these communities, they just kind of showed me a different way. They showed me basically how to get more in touch with myself and my spiritual side and how beautiful life is and why be numb to it. Every moment you have on stage, you know, should be this to find yourself in that moment and that peace, to do it sober and to enjoy it, you know, because a lot of these things we just numb and we miss out on. So some of the medicines I've discovered, you know, they're ancient medicines and they've been lost. A lot of things have been lost, but we're kind of rediscovering in a lot of ways right now. And it's such an amazing time to be alive. And that's why I kind of say that, because I find that there's a movement towards a healthier lifestyle. People want to live longer. People want to, maybe they've grown up seeing their parents living in a different type of way, and they want more for maybe their children or more for themselves, and they want to be around longer. So it really ties in to everything that we do with the festival. And I find that a healthy, happy, creative populace is just where magic comes from, you know? So if we can encourage people to be happy and healthy and creative, we're going to make the world a little bit better.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it definitely seems like right now there's more of like an impetus to heal and wake up and kind of come together from a standpoint of never before have the tools been so powerful that if we don't sort of deal with our generational trauma and heal from it, and if we do end up getting into a new world war, then with nuclear weapons and just like the scope of technology, like it really could be the end of society as we know it. And so it seems like there is more of a motion towards waking up and healing and coming together and kind of breaking down these walls. And I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're referring to or not, but I found it very interesting, the resurgence of plant medicines and psychedelic therapy right now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of momentum and movement towards using these tools to help people heal and to be able to process and digest, trauma that has been passed down for generations. And I know the FDA passed like breakthrough therapy status for some of these therapies, and they're exploring using these in particular in like therapeutic settings. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the most important issues of humanity right now is learning how to kind of heal through some of that trauma. And I think music can play a really powerful role in it. And so it sounds like that might be something that you're connected to through the community work that you're doing. You
couldn't be more right. That's exactly, it's such a beautiful thing. It's funny. It's like, I believe that most of the artists I know, I'm lucky enough to have both sides. I have a business sense and an artist side, and not everybody does. And I find some of the most creative souls I've ever met in my life are very prone to negative things. They feel more, they experience more. And I think with social media and all of these new technologies and being inundated with wherever you look, a lot of people allowed fear into their heart. And I think that a lot of these medicines are just allowing people to let go of the fear and let go of these negative emotions and get back into being positive, which is a lot of hard work. Being positive all the time, it's not easy, but it's worth it. The view at the top of the mountain is always better than the bottom, but it's a lot of work to walk up that hill, but it's so worth it. So I think it's going to have an amazing effect. It already has on our music and on our communities. But as we go forward and more people become awake to this experience and getting in touch with themselves, I think it's going to just create more positive things, more art, more creativity, and we're just going to be better off for it. And I think that even though the world might seem crazy, it's always been crazy. If you want to talk about any year going back in time, you can pinpoint a crazy event and a crazy time where it was the end of the world and there was a comet coming or there was a war coming. So the doom is always on the doorstep, but it's going to be all right, So I think we just have to remember that. And for the artists watching this, it's our job to comfort those in times like this. So let your creativity flow.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like the role of a musician and the like being a modern creator really is related to this conversation of like bringing people together when in some ways we're more connected than ever because of the internet, but in a lot of ways we're more disconnected than ever. And we've kind of created a extra identity or like an impression through our profiles that we want to, act, to put forward a certain self-image that we've already added on to our existing self-image. And so it does seem like we need communities to help kind of bring us back together. And music is such a powerful way to break down those walls and kind of help people get connected and get back to the roots of who they are.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's such a huge part of my purpose on this planet is to create those communities, to bring I know you've probably traveled a lot, and as a musician, that's one of the perks is we get to meet all these beautiful people in our travels and all these creative types and all these amazing folks. It's just an honor to exist at the same time. And I think that there's been things that have really chipped away at what our culture is known for thousands of years as community. And the more that we get, it's almost like we do it to ourselves, but the more that we want, the more that we work, the more that we're away from our communities, the more that we're spending time not being involved in our communities. And I think that festivals are such a great way to bring communities back together and to support each other. That's really one of the underlining things of Gussapolooza is that everybody's a Gus at Gussapolooza, and everybody has something to offer. With the festival, it's such a great way for everybody to get involved who has a small business or who has a service to offer in the entertainment sector. We offer special discounts for everybody to come out and to be part of that community. And I think that in doing this festival for so long, one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of the bands that submit will get everything, from somebody who's sitting in their parents' basement and they've got dreams of hitting the big stage one day. And it's an amazing thing because they're sending us their material and that's the stage they want to play. They've got a long ways to go, but we also get submissions from musicians who are well established and they've got millions of streams on Spotify, but they're worldwide and they're not localized. They don't have a local community that they can bring out to the show. And I think that's where we've lost something is having that local foundation that really lifts you up to the world stage. And my passion, and one of my goals is to create that community of music lovers, because at our festival, they are essentially the most important part of the festival. People who want to come discover music and to uplift artists. That's why our festival has such a great vibe to it, is like a lot of these people are those types. They come out and they want to explore new music. They want to discover and they want to be there first, and to be in at the ground level. It's been an absolute honor to open our doors and meet all these special kinds of people that really sew that community together. Because what we've taken on is basically, it's not just a festival, it's a happening. We understand that there is no magical stage without a magical scene, so what we're doing is building a scene. And the biggest players of that scene are the people who love the music, the people who are inspired by those artists who, that's what we do it for as musicians and artists. That's why we create, is to share with those people. So it's such a blessing to have that marriage going on. And that's what we really need, is that local foundation.
So cool. Yeah. The more that you talk about this, the more that I'm like, man, I would love to be a part of that and go attend one of the festivals. Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the big things is, so what we've done this year, it's a project that I've been slowly building on. We're also hosting a convention as part of the festival. And my idea with the convention side is that we want creative entrepreneurs like yourself, people who offer amazing services, to come out and network and show their products, show their business experience, network with artists, and really kind of connect the North American emerging scene. So if you're watching this and you have something to offer, get a hold of us, because we want you to be part of that convention and to network and to let everybody know what you're doing. And I think that's just going to raise, it's kind of like a rising tide that lifts all ships, so to speak. That's the idea. And like I said, it builds that community around emerging music and emerging business and emerging art. And so it's just a perfect fit. So by all means, we'd love to have you at the festival, and anytime, let me know how we can get you out.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. It sounds like it'd be a great fit, and I'd love to be able to contribute. The biggest challenge for me right now is just sort of like planning travel and trips and being away from the kids and my wife. But something like this, I think would be really cool to connect with and contribute.
I'd love to touch on that. So I'm also a family guy. There's no bigger fans of music in the world besides kids, you know, and the magic is so bright in their eyes when they see music, and they get so excited. So we've always made our festival family friendly, and we even have a family campground as well, because the next stars, the next emerging musicians, we want to inspire the next generation of music creators. And like I said, when you see kids running around with a thrash metal band t-shirt on, or just any kind of like buying merchandise, you know, they just love it. When they meet one of the artists, it's just like they're meeting a god, you know. They're like, wow, this guy just played on stage and I got his autograph. And it just, so it's such a great part of the festival that we're always going to make it available for kids to come out and enjoy it.
That's so cool. I'm sure our kids would love it. I remember what really inspired our band to start about like 10 years ago. Or actually, no, sorry, it's longer than that now. It's about 10 years that we toured full time. But in high school, we attended a festival, and there was a band there called Quiet Drive. And it was exactly that experience. I remember getting a photo with Justin, their guitarist. He was, so awesome. And we were like, this is great. And that really inspired us to start making music ourselves and performing.
And same here, it's music is that magical thing, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It just brings people together and inspires people, and it's it's just like it's a way to talk to people when you can't talk to them. And we live in such a strange time right now where people are having such a hard time talking, but yet we'll listen to the same song, with the same message, and we'll both love it. But sometimes we just can't communicate. So I think exactly same thing for me, man. As soon as I had a guitar in my hand, as soon as I saw somebody play it, I was like, what is that? And, I just want to keep on keeping that on for everybody else. So
awesome. So one question I think would be really helpful to dig into for folks who are listening to this right now is just around this concept of community and building community in general. I think a lot of artists, they want to be able to build their own community. They want to build their community with their audience and with their fans. And so as someone who has both, built a community as a musician yourself and traveled and been able to meet people, as well as building this community now with the festival, I'm curious if you have any best practices or tips or advice for artists who maybe they're early on. Maybe they haven't, built a large fan base yet, but that's really what their goal is. They'd like to build a community around their music. What are some tips or advice to kind of help them get that started?
Absolutely. And that's the only thing that's going to help them out is building that community around them. So the advice I always give to artists, especially one of the things at the festival, what we try to do is we always try to provide seminars as well and provide business side of things, because whether you're creating music or you're creating a running shoe, it's the same thing. You're creating a product, and that product has to be special. But not only does the product have to be special, you have to market it as well. My advice always is to artists starting out is to market yourself as you are the product, and you are providing an amazing service to people. You're able to get them angry. You're able to get them happy. You're able to get them sad by sharing your emotions through vibrations. And I think that is such a you are a magical thing, So share your magic with people. Every time you get a chance to talk to them about what you do and how your product is available, like where they can find it. Share it with them and ask them to come out to see your shows. I think a lot of us get so up in our heads about how we're supposed to act, or we see things on TV and we go, oh, I'm supposed to be this way, or I'm supposed to act in a sort. I think just be as real as you can be with people and share them and let them know what you're doing. And there's a saying, ask and thou shalt receive. Ask them to come to your show and keep in contact with them, and keep on creating and let them watch you grow. People love to watch and to be there from the beginning and see where you go and say, hey, I was there when he was putting out these videos in his basement and now he's playing on this stage. So don't be afraid to talk about yourself. Don't be afraid to talk about your music and don't be afraid to share why you are magical. And that's really the advice. And also it's like, don't forget that this is business. If you don't want to be working in the shoe factory and you want to be working in the music factory, then, get your product good, put that time and effort into creating the best product that you can and presenting it the best way that you can, and think outside the box. I know, like with Paradise Fear, you guys, you were able to think outside the box. It gave you an edge on the competition. It was a great way to get your name out there. And that's what it takes, is innovation, and anything you do is innovation and creativity. So if you're creating music, create a way to market it that is ingenious, and that'll help you grow that community as well, reach more people.
Yeah. Along this topic of community and building relationships, I really do think that tour hacking strategy of just like meeting people face to face in lines for shows over and over again really helped us to connect with people and build a community. And I'm curious because the advice that you gave, I think, is so spot on in terms of helping artists to recognize their value and recognize that they have magic and that they can really serve people with their music. And I think sometimes it's hard to balance or kind of figure out where's the line between, like, we really don't want to come across as overbearing or spammy. And it is possible to be spammy and to just shout, to send out mass spam messages to someone. And that's, on the other end of the spectrum too. So I'm curious, how you kind of find that balance of both being proactive and sharing your music and sharing who you are, and also avoiding, being too me, and actually kind of building that community.
You hit a subject there that as soon as you said it, I got goosebumps. And so purpose, if music is your purpose, then your job is to share it with as many people as you can. If you want to talk about spammy, Coca-Cola is spammy. All right. You see it everywhere you go, but people don't get angry at Coca-Cola. It's just there. They recognize it. Branding is you have to stop. And this is what artists such as myself are always guilty of. We don't want to take people's money. We want to create, we want to help, we want to do it all for free, but you cannot fund yourself for free. You have to make money, and making money keeps you alive, and it allows you to do what you do, and you help people with your product. You're not creating something that's going to make people sick. You're going to create something that helps people, and you have to think of it that way. So my advice is stop being so selfish. It's not all about you. It's about others. You're trying to help others, and you have to get out there. You have to push yourself. You have to break down those boundaries, and don't be afraid to do it, because in this world that we live on, it's not a fair and free place. If nobody had to eat and everybody just got to live forever, then there'd be no magic. We'd all be bored. It'd be too good. So there's trials and tribulations, and you have to push the boundaries, and you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable position. And I think that's the best way to grow as an artist. If you're pushing yourself, you're uncomfortable. If you feel like, I shouldn't do that, you should. You should try it out, and you're going to grow, and you're going to keep on going. Because if you want to make it as an artist, or if you want to make it in business at all, whether you're creating a shoe or you're creating music, you have to do it. You have to put yourself out there.
So good. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes or the general ideas was Joseph Campbell, who shared something along the lines of, our greatest treasure is often in the cave of our deepest fears, and how that can be a compass, to kind of go towards those things that we're afraid of. And so I'm curious, how can artists kind of distinguish between the fear that's good fear or valid fear versus the fear that's preventing you from sort of embracing your truth?
Absolutely. So fear is a tool, like if you see a dog that could eat you, and you feel the tingling sensation, maybe you should run. So, but you have to be the master of your fear. You have to learn how to get in control of that. And if you don't, you're going to wind up with a drug problem or an alcohol problem because you're going to go to those substances for that to deal with your fear. So meditation, medicines, and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations for long periods of time is the best thing that you can do. I still get nervous when I get on stage, and I love it because I feel alive. I don't ever want to lose that feeling. It's magical. So learn to love that, learn to embrace it, and learn to be a leader, because it's a leader who can be courageous in times where everybody else is afraid. And if you can master your fear, you can be that leader that you need to be, either for your band or any other aspect of your life. So I would highly suggest, doing some inner work, getting control of that, because if you can control your emotions in this world, you can do great things. You can heal.
So good. Yeah, it definitely seems like using fear as a bell, or as like a signal, as like there's an opportunity here, there's something to work on, is a great mindset to approach, to kind of lean into it as opposed to hide from it or avoid it or repress it. I've heard this concept before about when people are looking at leadership and the people who become leaders, the way that they respond to crisis situations is significantly different, in that leaders tend to, when there is a crisis or there's a big problem, there's an issue, and there's like, you got to handle it. Like there's a few different responses that you can have. But for leaders, generally, like that's when they woke up and they kind of performed their best, because they saw like there's like they needed to rise up and wake up to, to be able to respond to it and kind of face the fear head on. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in that concept of being aware of your fear and leaning into it, facing it head on, as opposed to hiding it or trying to repress it, and all the trappings that we use to avoid looking at those things for ourselves. Really powerful stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, we're all here for something, we're all lucky enough to be alive in the first place. And I think everybody's got something going on. I think it's fear is one of those things that can really, once it gets in, it can really do damage. And so anybody is able to rise above it. It just takes hard work, and you just become better and better every day, that you go through it. And for artists, you get so in control of your emotions that you start controlling other people's emotions. And that's what you do. That's why you're magical. You get on stage and you have 1,000 people staring at you, and you stare right back at them and you make them feel something. That is magic. If you can do that, you can do anything. Bless all of you out there that can do that.
So awesome. Russ, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I really appreciate the work that you're doing with this community to help to heal and to bring people together and help give a voice to these musicians. For anyone that's listening or watching this right now who would like to apply for one of those spots or just attend the event and be a part of it, where's the best place that they can go to connect more?
Absolutely. So you can find us on social media at Gussapolooza, and Gussapolooza.com has all the information there on the website. We're always looking for emerging artists to come out, whether you're playing or not. So last year, we received over 1,000 submissions. It's my favorite thing in the world to do, is go through these submissions, because I discover my new favorite bands. And every year I'm just blown away. So get on there, sign up to our newsletter, because we open submissions and then we close them. We're getting more and more submissions, but what we look for in artists is we don't care how many followers you have. We don't look at those sort of things. What we look at to see who is going to be ready for what the festival offers. So every year we hand out some big awards. Our 3 major award winners last year come back and headline the festival. We get them involved with record labels. All kinds of things can happen at the festival. So it is a magical place. You never know what's going to happen. But if you're just starting off, don't fret. Send us in anyways, because we're looking for people who are serious about their business. And if you're serious about your business, it's going to shine, and we're going to notice that, and we're going to give you a spot. So if you got a good product and you got good business, and you've got a career and a future. And that's what record labels want to see anyways these days, is somebody who can take care of themselves. If you can take care of yourself, the world's going to open its doors to you. So always looking for that community. Also, like I said too, if you offer service, or if you have an interesting company that's involved in the emerging entertainment space whatsoever, we want you out at the festival as well, to come out and share your products and to meet and network with artists and to grow that side of our community. And we're excited to see what happens every year. The festival takes place every September, the third weekend of September. This year it's the 13th, 14th, and 15th. It happens in a little tiny town up north of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, in a place called Cookstown, Ontario. And it's amazing to know how many bands have been interested in coming from all over the place just to this little tiny town from coast to coast. So it's very interesting, and you never know who you're going to meet. We're very excited for the future with the festival, and we're excited to grow and make more opportunities for all artists and creative entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Well, like always, we'll put the links in the show notes for easy access. And yeah, who knows, if you go to the event, then you might see me there as well, because it sounds awesome, and I'd love to be a part of it. Great.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. Reach out to us. Anybody's got any questions? We always answer people on our Instagram. Is probably the best way to get a hold of us. So.